All right, a loaded edition of SNL. I'm on the road. I am in Oklahoma City, but I've been following from afar. Cody Stoots was on the scene today. The big news today, and we found out after practice, Diontae Johnson, he will be a Houston Texan, claimed off waivers. Cody, you've been calling for this. I think the situation made it to where not doing this would make zero sense. But the Diontae Johnson move, just the overall thoughts on that. I got some as well, but how do you feel about the Texans making this somewhat polarizing move?
I was in favor of this before the Tank Dell injury, and certainly it made even more sense. And I feel like people saw it in the same light that I did after Tank Dell suffered his injury and it became apparent he wasn't going to play any more football for the Texans this year. Diontae Johnson, as far as what he's done this year, being in football shape, being football ready, he was the best option that was out there. Like, he did more this year in this season than Odell Beckham did. He played more recently than guys like Chris Moore or some of these other free agents that have been just sitting there without a job all year long. And in 7 games this year with a bad Panthers team, like, he was pretty productive. He had over 350 yards and 3 touchdowns, and there's still a little bit of something left. Like, is he the guy that had a 1,000-yard season and 8 touchdowns a few years ago? Like, obviously not. Did he have a, poor attitude in Baltimore and felt like he should have been on the field instead of those guys? Yeah, that didn't work out there, but he's got basically a week plus to figure it out. He'll play a bunch against Tennessee, I would guess, and then hopefully this guy just raises the floor a little bit for you in that playoff game. Just go out there, run whatever routes you do know, run whatever plays you do know, and get open. I mean, he's had some impressive performances in the past couple of seasons, and you hope that he could just dial it back and turn back the clock for 1 day or 2 days for you if you're the Texans.
I thought it was interesting. CJ today at his press conference, they asked about guys filling in, and this was before the Diontae Johnson news, and he said, "Well, you guys have seen it with Metch and Hutchinson." Yeah, we have. That's why the move. You're correct. We have watched Hutchinson and Mechie, the Jets game last year when they were called upon to fill voids in the other game. Like, we have seen it, and that's why the Diontae Johnson move to me makes sense. I look at it as maybe a lower level Jerry Jeudy type of thing, where maybe a change of scenery, maybe a last opportunity to figure something out on a good team with a good culture. And I'm not saying Cleveland has a good culture, but the right situation for you. Maybe you get that with Diontae Johnson. So in the short term, he's better than anything you got. He's way better than John Mechie. He's better than Xavier Hutchinson. He's better than Robert Woods. In long term, maybe you find a guy who's like your 3rd or 4th receiver next year. There's no desperate times call for desperate measures. And I thought that you really, really kind of brought it up when Phil Yates said that the other team that put the waiver claim on him was the Baltimore Ravens. Jim Harbaugh, not the Baltimore Ravens, the
LA
Chargers.
Chargers.
Yeah, the Chargers, coached by Jim Harbaugh, who is John Harbaugh's brother. So if there was just some sort of godly issue with Diontae Johnson, then I don't think Jim Harbaugh would be claiming him. But just like the Texans, they're in a situation where they're thin at wide receiver.
Yep.
They need guys who are going to make plays in the playoffs. So there's really no risk, and it's worth the risk. Like, that's kind of a closed case for me. Like, what do you expect from him? Well, I expect him to be comparable to Xavier Hutchinson and John Mechie. All right, done. What are the big issues? Why is he on his 3rd team? Well, the guy's brother who just let him go claimed him. So for me, that tells me all I need to know. There's really no risk here. There's no cost.
Yeah.
So I think it's just it's a no-brainer move, to be honest with you. And unlike Odell Beckham Jr., it's not. It could potentially be beyond this year because, let's be honest, next year you have Nico Collins under contract, and you have John Mechie and Xavier Hutchinson under contract at wide receiver, and we've already established that the last 2 guys that I mentioned aren't good enough and aren't going to cut it.
Yeah.
So you can figure this out for this year, how it works. You upgrade your weak wide receiver room 2 down, and long term, perhaps you get a piece beyond this year, and you still need to go find receivers, but this could work out. I see no negative to it.
Yeah, a couple more things I want to get to on Diontae Johnson. Got a couple super chats we want to hit. Touch of Trent, very generous man. He says, "Happy holidays, fellas." Thank you so much, Trent. Happy
Good Lord,
holidays to
Trent.
you.
Thank you, my man. Thank you.
Yeah,
We're gonna have an end of year party. We gotta figure something out, get you
Yep.
there and all that. But yeah, thank you very much, my friend.
Man, Trent, thank you so much, man. It's very generous, very kind, and happy holidays back to you as well. Teaming with the super chat. Johnson produces. If he's a locker room cancer, he's gone. No risk, good reward. Can be an elite wide receiver 3 to good wide receiver 2. Yeah, that's probably one of the best elements of this is if they like him in the building in the 2 weeks that are left here in the regular season and the playoff run, however long it lasts, then they have a nice, easy conversation with him in the offseason and say, hey, come back for 1 year, rebuild your value, and go hit free agency at the end of the year after you rebuild your value 1 year with us. And if they don't like him, hey, see you later. Like the worst case scenario is he's here for 3 weeks. The best case scenario is he's here for 7 weeks and you take him to New Orleans with you. Like there's really not a big downside.
And the other thing is like you look at the situation that he just left, like Baltimore has pretty good situations when it comes to pass catchers. And I know he refused to go in the game, which was a big deal. But again, Jim Harbaugh didn't think it was a big enough deal to where he didn't do anything with it. But they're not. The Ravens are in a different situation. You have a lot better receiving options. You also have one of the best quarterbacks in the league who can kind of overcome those types of things. And they have multiple tight ends.
They throw less than anybody
tight
in the
ends.
AFC.
They have multiple wide receivers. They have one of the best backs in the league. They have the best running quarterback of all time. One of the most accomplished quarterbacks right now. So their situation was just different. That was more of like a real low risk, extremely high reward for them if they could have figured something out with Diontae Johnson. But there was doubt there. I mean, but in this offense, like if you put Diontae Johnson in this situation, I mean, he's going to get a hell of a lot of opportunity. He's not going to be sitting on the sidelines too much. Like that's and I think I think that you got to lean on that too to get a look at it because there's no upside to having Xavier Hutchinson and John Mechie out there trying to make plays. So figure out what you can do with.
Yeah, I mean, and another thing about the Ravens too is
Diontae Johnson. I'm down with this.
Another thing about the Ravens too is that they throw the ball the least of anybody in the AFC. So it's like the opportunities aren't there when he can't get on the field because other guys are maybe as good or better than him. And then they don't throw the ball a ton. Like the Texans do throw the ball a whole lot more than the Ravens do. So yeah, and if it works out, it works out. It works out long term. And if it works out short term and he moves on, okay, great. It worked out in the short term. Like, and plus, here's one more thing about the Diontae Johnson situation. There's a really good chance that playoff matchup is against one of these former teams. So I feel like you're going to get his best behavior for the next 2 weeks while he gets ready to maybe play one of those former teams. It's either the Ravens or the Steelers. So you don't think he wants another crack at those guys? Like, absolutely. Absolutely. One more super chat here. Rich Boy Jay. Following you guys has made this such a memorable and enjoyable season. Thanks for everything and Merry Christmas. Rich Boy, Merry Christmas to you too, man. Thank you so much for the super chat. You're very kind. You're very generous. We appreciate that.
And it's just the beginning, my friend. We're all in this together. I don't just say that. I live that. Whether I'm on the road, the family stuff, whether there's stuff going on, the streams go on with me and Cody. We don't take this lightly. We've been doing it for years. Even when we have multiple tasks, it never takes a back seat. So whether you're frustrated with the team, whether you feel good about the team, we're going to follow it as close as anyone. We're going to interact with you. We're going to talk about it. It's fun. So we'll continue to do it. And it's just the beginning. So we appreciate you for riding along, my friend. Yep. Hopefully, it's all uphill from here with the way things go.
Yeah, Trent, very thankful for you, teaming Rich Boy, and teaming again with another super chat. Johnson on two different teams with two different offenses produced better than every Texans wide receiver not named Nico. Yeah, I mean,
100%.
Yeah, look, has he had some trouble getting on the field in Baltimore because they have guys that can produce? Yeah, okay, he gets mad. They're winning a blowout. He don't want to go in. Okay, I mean, Jim Harbaugh wanted him, so it clearly wasn't that big of a deal. He could call John and say, "What the hell's going on?" or maybe they don't answer because they don't want to help the Chargers. Who knows? But um, I
They
like the
talk.
I like the Diontae Johnson moves. It was a no brainer after Tank's injury. I would have made it even if Tank was healthy. But the Texans are going to get a guy. I wouldn't anticipate him playing Wednesday because he was probably chilling today trying to figure out where he's going to go. So he probably gets here tomorrow, and then it's game day the next day. So he's not playing Wednesday, but you get him, the crash course, get him ready, play him a bunch against Tennessee. He plays with, CJ for a quarter, plays with Davis Mills for 3/4, and just kind of get the juices flowing and get him ready for that playoff game when hopefully he can help you and he can raise the floor a little bit of this team. So Diontae Johnson claimed off of waivers. And we mentioned the Tank Dell injury. Landry feels like Tank Dell's injury is a whole lot worse than initially reported here.
Yeah, the CJ press conference today was really somber. Like it was, man. I mean, it's unfortunate, but yeah, it was really somber, and the whole situation and everything. Um, I I would bet everything that he doesn't play next year, and then the year after that. I mean, just if you see him running around catching footballs, that's another thing. But I just it doesn't the whole vibe and the way that they're talking about it. It just seems like this is going to be. I know you mentioned the Lattimore injury when we were talking before the
Yeah.
show
So it's
back
it's
at
it's
South Carolina.
it's important to get the clarification out there because D'Amico Ryan said it today, and I've seen ESPN with the headline. I've seen the NFL Network with the Tank Dell has a dislocated knee, which is different and more severe than a dislocated kneecap. You could add the dislocated kneecap on top of the dislocated knee, but a dislocated knee is a far more serious injury than a dislocated kneecap, which was initially talked about and initially reported. He has a dislocated knee, so it's a more serious injury
And
than a
torn
knee,
ACL. And
and
torn ACL.
and torn
And they don't know
ACL.
everything else. And they don't know everything else.
Yes. So they probably don't even have a good understanding of everything that's going on in the knee until they get in there for the surgery, which D'Amico Ryan said I believe will happen this week. So here, just to give you like a quick refresher, Landry brought up Marcus Lattimore at South Carolina. If that name doesn't sound familiar to you, doesn't ring a bell. Teddy Bridgewater, a few years ago, he dislocated his knee and practiced. He missed all of that year and the next year coming back from that knee injury. Like it was a long recovery process for Teddy Bridgewater. And so they'll figure out exactly how bad this is for Tank Dell once they finally get in there. But this is clearly way worse than initially thought from a Tank Dell standpoint. And that's obviously a very tough part of the conversation for everybody to deal with. Is like, maybe it's not that bad. Well, then you find out actually it's way worse than people thought.
Yeah, the other part of it is, wide receiver. The thing about the Tank Dell injury, and I want to get more into this on the night stream tonight at 10:30, is, I mean, there were way too many games. Like, and I'm getting back to the football field. I think we've pretty much touched on how bad the injury is, and but he was a non-factor for like a lot of games. And I'm not saying that as like a knock on, saying that as like a knock on Tank Dell. I'm just saying, like, when you talk about Diontae Johnson, it's like, what's he going to do? Go out there and have a couple of bad games? Because this offense has had issues. And I just think it's kind of I think it's important for the complete picture of how this offense has functioned to at least acknowledge that, the injuries suck, especially when you see how good Tank Dell was doing out there against the Chiefs. But let's not forget, like, even when this offense was at full strength, they did not look great more times than not. Even when Tank Dell was out there, they did not look great, to be exact. So I don't want to rewrite the overall big picture of Bobby Slowick's offense and any other element of the offense that we want to talk about and just chalk it down to injuries, because I don't think that's the right way to assess the overall state of the offensive process that goes on out there at NRG.
They've never put together a full game on offense. like it just when they had everybody, they didn't. When they lost Joe Mixon, they didn't. When they lost Nico Collins, they didn't. They just haven't been able to put together a full game on offense at any point this year, and it's been a big issue. It's been, to me, the issue about the Texans is that their offense is not anywhere as good as most of us expected it to be. And you can point the finger at a lot of different places. You can point it at the offensive coordinator, the offensive line, the quarterback, the lack of talent at the receiver spot outside of Nico Collins. Hell, you want to blame the tight ends, blame the tight ends. Like, you can point it a lot of different ways, but this offense, healthy, not healthy, with Tank, without Tank, with Diggs, without Diggs, with Nico, without Nico, there have been some a lot more disappointing days than satisfactory days from this offense.
No, I mean, there's no doubt about that. And that's not to like hike my leg on like the overall sadness of the situation, but I do think we've seen enough to know that it's not just injuries when it comes to the offense and the overall way in which it's executed.
And
see what I did there?
Yeah, obviously. I see the execution drop in. And you touched on it a little bit with Diontae Johnson and what could he do here in the few weeks to maybe set himself up in 2025. Wide receiver, it's back on the need list, and it's pretty high up on the need list because you're not going to have Tank Dell next year, barring some sort of miracle. And even if you do, you don't have him for a good portion of the season. Like, if it was just his ACL, you wouldn't be counting on him for next season, but he's got everything else. Xavier Hutchinson, John Mechie, they've had their opportunities. They've not done anything with those opportunities. So you've got Nico Collins and opportunity after him is what I would say after that. So draft picks, I would say free agents, go find the next Noah Brown, go find two Noah Browns. Hell, you might need more than one Noah Brown-esque type player. And then
go find Brian Thomas Jr.
Yeah, go find a Brian Thomas Jr. There's going to be some good there's going to be some really good wide receivers coming out this year.
Every year, there's good wide receivers. Let's hear what the head coach had to say about this Tank Dell thing and the situation. Here's DeMeco Ryans talking about it.
Yeah, he started his press conference with it.
For Tank, so we all know it's unfortunate, significant knee injury. He dislocated the knee, he tore his ACL, some other things there that he'll have to get repaired. So he'll be out for the year.
Some other things there is the scary part because, are we talking about MCL, PCL, like all the CLs in there as well, in addition to the ACL? I don't even know what all the names of all the ligaments are. I didn't pay attention in biology class.
I didn't either, but some other things there. And it's really the weirdest thing about this whole thing has been some of like the reports. And it was like, what do y'all doctor hasn't even really there's been no surgery. And in surgery, a lot of times you have to look at stuff. He's been sitting in a hospital bed for less than a day, and everyone's trying to assess. You saw what it looked like. That wasn't, I mean, we see guys, and I'm not sadly, we see guys tear their ACL every game, and we see guys have big knee injuries and ankle injuries every game. There's not reactions like that.
Diggs walked off. Diggs had an ACL injury and he walked off the field.
Yeah. So it's not, it's not, you knew it was really, really, really bad. And you hear that, and it's even worse. And that's not the only thing that they're going to have to work on. And this might be even more difficult. And this might even be more of an adjustment for the coaching staff. Jimmie Ward, he has a broken foot. He's going to need surgery. He was doing an elite job of filling the nickel spot that Jalen Petrie had. Let's get an update on Jimmie Ward from head coach DeMeco Ryans, who knows him very, very well.
Jimmie Ward, midfoot sprain. He'll require surgery. He'll be out, for the remainder of the year as well. And We'll see how we move guys around in the back end. Like, it's still a lot of moving pieces on a short week, so we'll see, what we're able to do.
Man.
So there's 3 options, and I don't love any of them. Option number 1 is Miles Bryant replaces Jimmie Ward, and he plays Jimmie Ward's spot. Okay, you don't like that one? That one's out the window.
No.
Option number 2 is they play more linebackers. So you play 3 linebackers a little bit more when you can against some of these guys and some of these opponents. Baltimore is actually a good one for you to maybe play a little bit more linebacker. Let Devin White go cover a guy a little bit. Go let Christian Harris cover a guy a little bit. You play a little bit more linebacker, but you're still going to have to put a DB on the field at some point when they put more wide receivers on the field. So that's option 2. Option 3 is really scary. Option 3 is Kamari Lassiter bumps inside. That's not the scary part, though.
Yeah. Oh, no.
The scary part is Jeff Okudah replaces Kamari Lassiter, and your starting corners are now Derek Stingley and Jeff Okudah.
Yeah, I don't love that, but you might have to do that just because you're going to have to play 3 corners. Like, it's not necessarily about, you're taking Lassiter away from the outside. It's now, well, you have to play 3 corners. So would you rather have Okudah on the inside? We saw what that looked like. We've gotten enough of a taste of what that looks like. You definitely don't want to do it with Miles Bryant. You definitely don't want to do it with anyone else. So you might not have a choice but to do that. And this is like just the ultimate damned if you do, damned if you don't type of thing, where, the talk about Kamari when he came in was he's an inside guy. He proved that he's pretty good on the outside, but you might have to do that now. And we saw him do that against Kansas City, but you don't, it's the option is you're going to have to put Okudah on the field. So what do you do?
Yeah. I mean,
You got to, at least you can get something really, really good in Kamari Lassiter on the inside. It's a desperate situation. The good news is the defensive staff, I'm confident they'll make the right adjustment. I don't think we'll get a clear picture of it Wednesday, or maybe not even against the Titans. So I think what we see the next 2 weeks is not going to be what they're going to do in the playoffs, because they're weird like that. Like, I mean, they don't even tell us like injury. I mean, they didn't even announce Tank Dell was out for the season until, I mean, it took a little bit of time. Yeah, like yesterday it was like, well, they haven't said, okay. So they're going to be secretive, and given the fact that the next 2 games are really not really, you don't have as much to win, although you can, if you win the next 2, you get the 3 seed, but what does that really mean? And unless there's like some sort of upset in the second round, you really, I doubt D'Amico Ryan shows what he's really actually going to show the next couple of weeks. I think it's going to be base. It's going to be preseason-ish type of stuff that he shows. And plus, you don't have Azeez Al-Shaair this week, so we don't really like. The 3 linebackers, you're not. Harris looked a lot like he did last season in the Chiefs game. So you're going to see that for a while too.
Yeah. I mean, you won't see the real linebacker rotation and setup playing the real way they're going to play until it's playoff time. And there'd be no reason to show it before playoff time either.
No. And I think against Tennessee, like, you're seeing a lot of these like Jamal Hill gang. I see Patrick saying that. Shout out to Patrick. Can't quit him.
Nobody loves Jamal Hill more than Rick. He's in the chat. He's over on Houston football telling me about Jamal Hill.
Yeah, Rick is in it. But yeah, Jamal Hill you're going to get your wish, I think, Rick. You might have to watch this game alone in a dark room or something like that with a tie on the door against the Titans, because I think you'll probably get to see some Jamal Hill.
Yeah, maybe some Jamal Hill, some Miles Bryant in there.
That was Rick's last porn search, Jamal Hill NRG, and nothing came up. It'll come up after It'll come up after.
You ever got to the
game.
You ever got to the end of Google? Start Googling Jamal Hill. That'll get you the end of Google real quick. A couple of super chats. Charles Colston says, shout out to SNL. Charles, we appreciate that, man. Thank you. Charles,
that's a lunch bell guy right there. Charles is a lunch bell
He
guy.
puts the work in. We appreciate it. Jake also with a super chat. He says, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, Jake, and Merry Christmas to everybody.
Jake Easy.
If
Jake Easy. Look at him.
Christmas, happy holidays.
That's at least a 12-point buck on the other end of that rifle.
Yeah,
that ain't he ain't doing it for the gram. That's a 12-point right there at least.
I wonder if that's maybe dove hunting season.
That's whatever the hell season it is.
He's killed something.
That ain't that's whatever season it is, brother.
Somebody wants to know, is it Xavier Howard time?
No, it's not. Although, you know who loves him? Matt Burke. Good God. Matt Burke got asked about him the other day.
Yeah, he was asked if Stingley reminds him of Xavier Howard.
Yeah, with the ball skills. But don't look. Hey, Xavier Howard's got some off-field ball skills too that have drawn a lot of TMZ headlines. Yeah, very much. Remember when he got accused of giving that girl the herp? I'm at my in-laws' house talking like this, and I'm just like, you kind of saw me catch myself. I'm like, are they up now?
He purposely gave her something that she maybe didn't want.
That's allegedly, but I think he won that case.
Oh, okay, good. Rich Boy says there's no way Howard's worse than Okudah.
I don't know what Howard just doesn't strike me as a don't play football for a year and be hot and ready. Like he doesn't strike me as like I'm hot and ready right now.
That's not a microwave situation.
Yeah, that ain't a Little Caesars pizza. That's a little bit more of like a top shelf Chicago deep dish. Like it's gonna take some time to get that pie going. That ain't no Little Caesars. Some guys stay hot and ready. I don't know that he's that guy.
Yeah, if he was on an NBA bench, you can't call him a microwave. He's going to need to get the exercise bike, stretch a little bit in the timeout, then you put him in. So the secondary situation could be a little rough for half the field. So how they fix that, how they adjust that, a little safety help over the top probably to help out Okudah, and just let Derek Stingley go out there and go be Derek Stingley. And hopefully he shuts down his guy and take care of business from that standpoint. And hope Kamari Lassiter continues to be excellent and continues to be a solid player while he's playing on the inside, while Jeff Okudah gets those snaps outside. Jeff Okudah season.
Yeah, well, see how that goes.
Yep. What are the folks going to get at 10:30 tonight, Landry?
10:30, we're going to get into this Tank Dell thing, obviously, the Diontae Johnson, a lot of this. And then we always localize the outlook. Are people more – I mean, because I think it's sports are fluid. That's always one of my favorite lines. But, I mean, I'm sure there's a group of people that were opposed to Diontae Johnson 2 weeks ago that are now on board because situations changed. I would assume – now, I don't want to assume because that people are going to agree with me because that's kind of a – I don't want to speak for the folks. The folks can speak for themselves, but I'm assuming more people might be opposed to put it on ice season against the
Oh, you cut out there for a second.
Mixon's going to play this week. I wanted Mixon iced up, but yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, it seems like they're going to play him. Loss might not be the worst thing in the world if it gets you Pittsburgh. You match up better against Pittsburgh than you do Baltimore.
Yeah, and then you can just focus on getting ready.
So, all right, hit them with the catchphrase, Landry. They'll be ready for the locker room at 10:30 tonight, and plenty of stuff coming on your channel the next few days, my channel as well, SNL later this week. So hit them with the catchphrase.
Yep, on the road, whether I'm freezing or not freezing. We're always going to be in this Texan stuff together.
Eat good, sleep good, be good. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Thank you, everybody, for the comments, the likes, the shares, the super chats. You're all very generous with your time and your commitment to talking about this team and listening to us talk about the team. And we greatly appreciate it. Appreciate everybody watching. Enjoy your holidays, and thanks for watching.